Hello everyone, and welcome. Well, we're at the beginning of the trail again. Only this time, I've got my pack in the car, and in that pack, there's a hammock. We're gonna walk down the trail and set up in one of those camping spots. Not sure where we're gonna set up yet, but we're gonna end up somewhere. So let me grab the pack and we'll start heading down the trail. Well, the water's come up since we were here last week. There's the fire pit that I cleaned up. Now it's completely surrounded by water. Looks like plans are going to change. I was really looking forward to camping in this spot. It's the perfect little spot for just one person. Ann and I have camped here, and it's okay for two. But I love this spot just because I'm so close to the water. That being said, let me show you why the plans are changing. The water is right behind this fire pit. It's also coming right along the edge here. This tree is where I hang my hammock from there over to here. But the water is right there, which means I would be hanging right above the water. Under normal circumstances, that wouldn't bother me much, but the river is still rising. And I would hate to set up the hammock and wake up in the morning to find that I'm completely surrounded by water. So I think we're gonna grab our gear and we're gonna go back up to higher ground. It's not the spot where I wanted to be, but it's the spot where we are. And it's still a great spot. The good news is, we've got a table. I know where my hammock goes. I've got a great fire pit. I'm up high. I don't have to worry about the water flooding me out. The bad news is, I carried my chair for nothing. So we already have two chairs here. It's still going to be a great night in the hammock. Being up here might work out a little bit better, because if the wind picks up, I'm a little bit better protected up here. Down there, I'm in that little clearing where the river comes around, but the air blows right through it. So if it's windy at all, the wind blows right through there. Up here I've got a little bit more cover. And yes, I'm still fighting that cold. Oh. Let's take a little tour. And then we'll set up the hammock. So you saw the table and the chairs. There's our fire pit. This open area here is when where we normally set up the tent when we bring it. When we don't have the tent, right through these trees, the hammock goes from these trees over here to this one here. When Anne is with me, she gets this spot protected, and I normally build a tripod and I set my hammock from that tree over to here somewhere, wherever I end up putting the tripod. And then when we come back through here, here's the outhouse that I built. Not a nail in it, everything tied with paracord. The roof is just plastic. It's got a hole in it here. Oh, and a tiny hole in the middle over there. But the rest is still solid. Not moving at all. So I've got the hammock hanging up there. And for my ridge line, I used a toggle. And over at this end, I've got a prusik loop and a night eyes locking carabiner. So now I can pull on this and tighten up that ridge line. Now you can almost play guitar on it. Now our overnight lows are still going down to right around the freezing mark. So I brought out my Woods Robson mummy bag. It's good till about -7 Celsius or 20 degrees Fahrenheit. With this, I should be plenty warm. I've got the underquilt. That should keep me warm enough for the night. Now at this time of year, I don't need the bug net, but I do find that the mesh is so small that with the tarp over top and the added bug net, it does help keep a little bit of extra warmth in there. Not a whole lot, but at this time of year, every little bit counts. I found this little traveling neck pillow at our local drugstore. One breath and it's full. And I find when I'm laying in the hammock helps hold it in place. And if I have to get up in the night for any reason, adjust the tarp, use the restroom, whatever, when I climb back in the hammock, I'm not hunting for my pillow. It's right here. hammock's all set up. I went out and gathered enough firewood for my evening. If there's not enough, when I run out, I'll go to bed. It's that easy. Oh. But now, it's time to sit back and relax. And for today, I brought a sneaky weasel. It's from Balderdash Brewing Company, now 30% sneakier. Surprisingly smooth, deceptively strong, real craft lager. Oh, it's a 5.6%. Foxy, shifty, wily, crafty. Oh, they're out of Vancouver, BC. Yeah, poor beer is a long way from home. I better keep it some company. Oh, that is smooth. Very nice. Okay, before that sun gets too far behind those trees, I'm going to do a method that I haven't tried in quite a while. Got a rock here with a flattish top that's dry. And I brought some fine grind coffee. I'm going to make a pile of coffee on that rock. And I've got my wallet for an L lens. I'm going to try and use the sun to make an ember out of that coffee. Now, if you're going to try this, it has to be a fine grind coffee. I've tried it with the coarse grind. I've tried it with an instant coffee. It just doesn't work the same. If the grind is too big, they won't stick together and meld to make an ember. Because it's coffee and fine grind, it will meld, but you have to be very gentle when you're moving it, otherwise it falls apart. But the only one that seems to hold together well enough to be able to get it done is the fine grind coffee. You want a fairly big pile. It needs to be able to grow. And now we sit back and watch it grow. The key to this method is patience. You can't go at it right away. You have to let it smolder so that the coffee will bind together. Doesn't matter how big your ember is, when you go to pick it up, you're going to lose part of it. When you put it in your bird's nest, if you're not careful, it'll fall apart. So you need to let it grow as big as you possibly can. And then once you pick it up and put it in your bird's nest, if you can scoop up a little bit of coffee that hasn't lit yet and put it with it, that'll help to keep it going longer. This is what I did with the birch bark. Cut up as many fine pieces as I can. What I'm going to do is set that right on my fire lay. And when the ember is ready, we're going to transfer it right into here. I'm not going to try and hold it and blow it. I'm just going to put it right on the fire. So the bigger your ember gets, the better chance you have of being able to pick it up. Now I'm going to take my knife, try and slide it underneath, gently, drop it, add a bit more coffee to it if I can. The best part of this method is the smell. Now I've got my pocket bellows. Really? Birch bark? What's happened to you? So that was a first. A red hot ember, birch bark, and it smolders away to nothing? I'm confused. That birch bark should have went up like a shot. Huh. Well, I've got a bit of birch bark left. I've got some coffee left. My sun has kind of left me. But I think I'm going to walk that rock over to where there is sun. Try and get another ember and make a second attempt. So I collected more birch bark. I got a little bit of fluff from cedar bark, and I collected a whole bunch of sap from a spruce tree, which is basically like gas. So if this doesn't light, I'm selling all my camping gear and staying in the city. Thank goodness I get to keep my camping gear. That just shows you Even when you think something is a surefire, gonna work, sometimes Mother Nature says, nope, sorry. I have never seen birch bark react like that. Even when it's wet, it usually lights. Weird that it was just smoldering. Oh well. But we've got it burning now. So let's have a little chat about the importance of checking our gear. Here's my bear spray. It lives hanging off my pack. When I come out to the woods like this, it stays close to me. When I go to bed at night, even in the hammock, it lays next to me in the hammock. If I'm in the tent, it's next to my pillow in the tent. Winter camping, when I'm using my cot, it's right under the cot, right by the leg closest to my head. Always an easy access. I just happened to look at it and I noticed that the holster I'm using is just about to break through. So I need a new holster. Decided, well, you know what? I haven't looked in a while. Maybe I should check if there's an expiry date on these. Yeah, it expired November 2023. So all last year I was running around with an expired bear spray. I'm sure it'll still work. I'm sure it'll still do the job. But now I know I need to go get a new holster and a new bear spray. It's kind of an important piece of gear to have with you. So, needless to say, once I get back home, going to get a new holster, going to get a new bear spray, and then you don't use these very often, and now that it's expired, I may actually go out into the woods somewhere one of these days and fire this thing off just to see how it goes. Just to familiarize myself with how it works and how it sprays. But now we know. It's going to keep me safe for tonight. I'll be fine. I've got plenty of things that'll make noise. And like I said, I'm sure it'll still work. But now I know I need to replace it. Well, it's time for me to slave away at this so hard to cook meal. Water's boiled. Dinner's done. Shake it up a little bit. Pasta Alfredo. And let it sit for 15-20 minutes. Dinner's ready. Until then, back to just relaxing and watching the river. Camping is so hard. Well, I think it's been long enough. Time to eat. While I've been waiting for this, I turned on my Zoleo and I sent Anne a message just letting her know where I am and I'm safe. Everything's good for the night. That way she doesn't have to worry. That's one thing that Zoleo is very good for. Keeps us in contact. Saves her from worrying. And if something were to happen while I'm out here, I've got the SOS button. Don't think I'll ever regret buying that. It's great for peace of mind while we're out here. Now let's get back to this food. Typical run-of-the-mill food in a bag. It's edible. Well, now that we've had our dinner, time to wash it all down with some Buckley's Complete. I'm still fighting this cold a little bit. Delicious. Not. But it works. I've got the hammock all ready to go. There's hooks at the top of that bug nut. So I've got a headlamp that I keep with me, and I have a spare one that I usually hang in there, and that way when I go into bed I can turn that on, get into bed, get comfortable, read my book for a little while, turn it off, and go to sleep. We've reached that time of night. The sun's gone down. It's starting to cool off. So we have to make a decision. Do we get our jacket, sit by the fire a while longer, or do we crawl into our warm hammock and read a book for a while? I think I'm going to crawl into the warm hammock and read a book for a while. You guys have a good night. We'll see you in the morning. Morning, everyone. I just put the water on to boil. We're going to be making some coffee. Normally I always have two pots with me. Boil the water in one, make the coffee in the other. But this time, because I was only bringing dehydrated meals, all I needed was the one pot. So I brought my Stanley Adventure pot so I could have my cups. And we're going to go ahead and make some cowboy coffee. Last night was a decent night. I crawled into the hammock, And that sleeping bag I find is just a little bit tight. So if I want to read my book, I have to leave it open a little bit so that I can hold the book and read it. So I read for a while, and then once I started to get a little cold, I put the book down, I closed the bag up the rest of the way. Once I closed that bag up, I was toasty warm all night long. I love sleeping in that hammock. I almost always get a great night's sleep, and I never wake up with a sore back in the morning. Oh, water's boiling. Time to add some coffee. Okay, so I'm not quite awake yet. The pot was in the fire, boiling. I moved it off to the side here. I added the coffee, but because it's so close to the fire, it's just got a slow, gentle, rolling boil. I'm going to let it boil like that for just a few minutes, and then we're going to have some coffee. They say if you add a splash of cold water, it'll force all the coffee grounds down to the bottom, and you shouldn't get any in your cup. I, however, always have my coffee filter with me, so I make doubly sure, and I just pour my coffee through the filter. Now it's time for that all-important first sip. Ooh, that's hot. Oh, could have used just a little bit more coffee in there. It's good, but it's not as strong as I normally like it. So while I was sitting around last night, I started playing with my knife, rounded off one edge, pointed the other edge, then I made a 7-notch pot hook, square notch, drilled a hole through it, and a saddle notch. All while sitting here by the fire, enjoying the evening. Can't ask for a better night than that. It's just a little cool this morning, that's why I put my jacket on. But the sun is slowly coming up over the trees. And the higher that sun gets, the warmer it's getting. Check out this view this morning. So I took a walk down to that other spot this morning. The water has not come up any higher. But walking around a little bit where the hammock would have been hanging, it's definitely squishy. I normally put a tarp underneath the hammock so that I can put my stuff on it and keep it dry. And I don't think my stuff would have stayed dry. Not just sitting on a tarp. I'm kind of glad I stayed up here. At least up here it's dry. I do want to do a camp down there at some point though. Oh. Well, I'm going to sit here and enjoy the view. thoroughly enjoyed this coffee. And just kind of kick back for a little while. Most of the gear is packed. The only thing left to pack up is the coffee pot. It was a great trip. Really enjoyed it. But now that everything's packed, I'm gonna have one last cup of coffee and get ready to head out of here. Obviously, before I go, I'm gonna put out that fire. Now that the snow's gone, it's that time of year again. I gotta start carrying around my bucket. My good old faithful Dollarama bucket. It's already full of water. So when I'm ready to go, I can douse that. See what it's like. If need be, I'll run down and grab another bucket full and make sure it's completely out before I go. But seeing as we're sitting right on top of a rock, it's not going to go anywhere. That's the one thing I love about this spot, is we've got a nice semi-flat rock so we can set up and sit, and the fire pit is completely on rock. Can't get any safer than that. Hello, Mr. Fire. Stop smoking out my camera. There. So I want to thank you all for joining me. Here goes Mr. Fire smoking out the camera again. I want to thank you all for joining me. Always a pleasure having you with me. We always have a good time when we're out here. And if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, you may as well hit the notification bell. When you do, there'll be a drop-down menu. In that menu, select all. That should let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.